All right, folks. So you know how everyone's talking about AI and like all the crazy things it can do?
Yeah, definitely.
Well, we found a service that is using AI to create content specifically for businesses.
Yeah. And it's a pretty wild idea if you ask me.
I mean, it's $1,000
Yep.
for a custom jingle and an interview, all done with AI,
Mm-hmm.
5 days or less.
That's the promise.
That's the promise. So we had to do a deep dive on this one. So
Absolutely. I mean, this is the kind of thing that could really shake things up.
totally. Okay, so let's break this down.
Okay.
So the service is offering a package deal, right? And the big selling point is that it uses AI to do all the heavy lifting.
Exactly. So instead of hiring like a composer and, a whole production team for your jingle,
Right.
and then finding someone to conduct a professional interview.
Which can be really expensive and time consuming.
Oh, absolutely. This service says, hey, we can do all of that with AI.
For $1,000.
Yeah.
And you've got it in less than a week.
It's a pretty bold claim, I think.
Okay, so walk me through how this actually works. What do they ask for from the customer?
So basically, you give them the bare minimum when it comes to information.
Yeah.
You send them like a one-page bio about yourself or your company,
Okay.
some details about the product or service you offer, your company logo,
Got it.
and then a basic concept for the jingle.
That makes sense.
Like, what kind of vibe are you going for? What feeling are you trying to evoke?
Right, like upbeat and catchy or more like...
Yeah, exactly. Maybe something more like soulful and inspirational.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you give them those basic building blocks and then the AI takes over from there.
Yeah, that's the idea. And they're using some pretty sophisticated generative audio AI for this.
Okay, so how does the AI actually use that information to create a jingle?
Well, you can think of it like this. You give the AI a seed, and that seed contains your basic information, right?
Okay, like a starting point.
Yeah, and the AI takes that seed, and it starts to grow it into a full-fledged composition. And the way it does that is by learning from the data you've provided, but also from a massive database of music.
Like all different styles and genres.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like it's pulling from this huge library of musical knowledge, and then it's applying that to your specific concept and brand.
That's wild. And then what about the interview? Like, how does that even work?
Okay, so the AI actually uses your bio and company information to come up with questions.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and they say that it tailors the questions to your specific story and your perspectives.
So it's not just like a generic set of questions that they ask everyone.
That's what they claim. Their goal is to make it feel as personalized and insightful as possible.
That's interesting. It's almost like having an actual interviewer who's done their research on you.
Yeah, kind of, except in this case, it's an AI that's doing the research and generating the questions.
It's pretty mind-blowing when you think about it.
It is. I mean, the technology is advancing so quickly.
It is. There's one thing I'm curious about, though.
Yep.
You know how they mentioned you communicate with them through a dedicated business email?
Right, through a QR code.
Yeah, the whole QR code thing.
Yeah.
That just seems a little strange to me.
Yeah, it's definitely a bit quirky. It's not your typical way of communicating with the business.
Right. Like, why not just use email or a phone call?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, most people are used to that kind of communication.
So what's the deal with the QR code?
Well, their argument is that it creates a dedicated space for the project. It keeps everything streamlined and focused.
Like it's its own little world.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And they say it helps them stay organized and efficient.
I can see that. But it's definitely a unique approach.
Oh, absolutely. It's not something you see every day.
Okay, so let's get back to the big question here. Quality.
Yeah.
Can an AI really capture the nuances of a brand's personality?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is.
I mean, we're talking about AI trying to replicate something that's very human.
Right, like the essence of a brand?
Exactly. It's not just about the words or the music. It's about the feeling, the tone, the overall vibe.
And that could be so subtle and hard to define.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's where the AI might struggle.
Right.
It might be able to nail the surface level, like the basic style or genre.
But what about the deeper stuff?
Yeah, like that unique spark that makes a brand truly memorable. I think that's a much tougher challenge for the AI.
And what about the interview?
Mm-hmm.
Does the AI just ask generic questions, or can it actually get some real depth out of the person being interviewed?
Well, that's the thing. They say that the AI engine uses your bio and company info to actually craft tailored questions.
Okay, so it's not just pulling from a list of pre-written questions.
That's what they claim. They're saying it's going deeper than that.
So it's like the AI is actually trying to understand your story and your perspective.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
And then based on that understanding, it generates questions that are specific to you.
So it's like the AI is almost acting as a journalist in a way.
Yeah, kind of. It's trying to get to the heart of your story and draw out interesting and insightful answers.
That's pretty impressive if it can actually pull it off.
It is, but that's the big if, isn't it?
It is. It all sounds a bit too good to be true.
Yeah, you're essentially trading some control and potentially some depth for speed and cost effectiveness.
So there's a trade-off.
Yeah, I mean, $1,000 for a custom jingle and a full-blown interview, that's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, especially when you consider how much it would cost to do it the traditional way.
Exactly. But the question is, are you willing to sacrifice some quality for that speed and affordability?
That's a good question. So what do you think? Would you trust an AI to create content for your brand?
That's a tough one.
It is a tough one.
I think it really depends on your specific needs and priorities.
Right. Like if you're a small business with a limited budget and you need content quickly.
Yeah, this could be a game changer.
Exactly. It could level the playing field and give you access to high-quality content that you wouldn't be able to afford otherwise.
Right. But if you're a larger company with a more established brand and you're really focused on nuance and that human touch, then you might want to stick with the traditional approach.
I think that's a good takeaway.
Yeah.
It's all about weighing the pros and cons.
Exactly. And figuring out what's right for your specific situation.
I think this whole thing is super interesting, and I'm curious to see how this technology develops.
Me too.
Because it does feel like we're on the cusp of a major shift in how we create content.
Absolutely. And it makes you wonder what role human creativity will play in a world that's increasingly dominated by AI.
Right? Like, will we still need human composers and interviewers if AI can do it all?
It's a question we'll have to grapple with as this technology continues to evolve.
Well, I don't know about you, but this deep dive has given me a lot to think about.
Me too.
And I think it's important for everyone to be aware of these advancements and to start thinking about how they might impact their own lives and businesses.
Yeah, absolutely. Being informed is key.
Because, like it or not, AI is here to stay.
And it's only going to get more powerful and more prevalent.
So the question is, are we ready for it?
That's the question we all need to be asking ourselves.
And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
And be sure to check back next week for another deep dive into the world of AI and beyond.
We'll see you then. See them. Bye.